Alright, so today we're going to go over 3 systems for Synthes. The first system we're going to go over is our TFNA. When you do a hip nail, this is going to be the tray that you will pull every single time, and it's called TFNA. This is our hip nail system. So with our TFNA system, we're going to do what's called an oil. It's universal across every nail. What oil stands for is open, insert, and lock. So for the opening, you have your guide wire, you have your open reamers with your soft tissue guide. Something I want to call out here is that Dr. Meshbach uses this specifically. She's the only doctor who generally uses this. When it's in the tray, it comes apart in 2 pieces. So this is going to lay at the very bottom of your tray, just like so. When you are putting this together, I always say align the 2 notches. So you have a notch here and a notch there. You're going to line those 2 together, lay it on the shaft just like that, and push it up until it clicks. Again, Dr. Meshbach is the only one who uses this. And then all your other surgeons are going to use this open reamer here. So now that we've open reamed, we're going to insert. So this is what our insertion handle looks like all together. You have your cigar cutter here on the end. Something I also want to mention is that when you are inserting the nail, if you guys could just have this removed and have the docs put on later, that would be great. If not, no big deal. This is your connecting screw for our nail. I generally recommend to leave this connecting screw on this handle, but leave it out. So that way when you guys go to attach your nail, so let's say you click the nail together first, and then you're going to drop your connecting screw down and connect once it's all put together. And there, so now we have open, we have inserted our nail, and now we're going to do what's called locking our nail. You have your big triple sleeve, then we're going to guide wire, depth gauge, drill for the size that we just got. This is your blade inserter. So Dr. Wilfong is the only one who uses this, as I have written there. For our screw, if they do a screw instead, this is your screw inserter. Going along with your screw inserter, you have your compression nut. So every time you pull this out for a doctor who's going to use a screw, you're also going to pull this piece out. This is our connecting piece that goes down the back of each of these. I've written here again, so Meshbach, Mayers, and Pettit are the only ones that use this handle. Wolfong uses this one. Once we are done with putting that in, we go in with what's called our flexible screwdriver. That is to pretty much help set either of these 2 components in the head. For a short nail, so anytime we do a short nail, you're going to want to grab out what's called a green triple sleeve here and a long drill bit. If we are doing a long nail, instead of grabbing these pieces out, you're going to grab a short drill bit and short depth gauge, or here's another depth gauge if you'd like to use it, and then this is your screwdriver we use, no matter what, short or long. So for a short nail, I always say grab out your long instrumentation, meaning this, and for a long nail, grab out your short instrumentation, which means this. Going along with that, another piece I want to call out is our long nail. We're going to grab and put together this piece. That is so that way we have our depth of our nail, such as like 340, 360, 380. Another piece I want to call out in this tray is called, as Dr. Mayers likes to say, a miss-a-nail. This is to be used through a guide, and then you're going to hand another guide wire. It's not something he uses often, but it is something he has asked for before. This just sits randomly in your tray, but it should be in there. Alright. Another thing to highlight with this system is anytime we do a long nail, you are going to grab out reamers. So just again, long nail, always grab out reamers, with the exception of Dr. Pettit. Dr. Pettit currently is using reamers with a short nail and long nail. So now moving on to our next systems and sets here. This is going to be for perk pinnings. Dr. Meshbach, when she does a perk pinning, she uses what's called our 7-3 cannulated screw set. So anytime you do a perk pinning with Dr. Meshbach specifically, you are going to grab this tray only. With this tray, it's very simple and straightforward. You're just going to grab out 3 wires, the depth gauge, a drill bit, screw. So drill, measure, screw. Pretty much is going to be the thing that will follow here. These are your screws you're going to grab out. So again, Dr. Meshbach, this is the tray you're going to use specifically with her. But when it comes to Dr. Pettit and Dr. Mayers, you're going to open up this tray, so the 7-3 cannulated screw system tray, along with what's called our large CSS Plus, which is this nicer, fresher looking tray. In this large CSS Plus tray, the only items you are going to grab out are your screws and then your screwdriver for this. So again, you're going to open up both sets for a perk pinning with mesh block, Mayors, and Pettit. You're going to grab out 3 wires from your 7-3 cannulated screw set, along with the depth gauge and your drill bit. But when it comes to with Mayors and Pettit, you just have to make sure we are using screws out of this system only. So that's why you only need your screws and your screwdriver. So you do not need to worry about the screws or screwdriver in this tray when it comes to doing a perk pinning with those 2 ducts I just mentioned. All right, so when it comes to perk pinnings with Dr. Wilt Fong, you're going to call down for what's called a femoral neck system tray, or as we like to call it, FNS. The implants with this tray are kept sterile and separately. That's something that I bring, but you guys do have this tray here, so you'll open this up. It's a single layer level. With this system, you have our guide. So you're going to pull out your guide. You have a guide wire, your depth gauge. You have in the system what's called a triple reamer, so it's going to come apart just like this. Something incredibly important to know, when you are putting this together, please, please, please be careful, because I've had so many people cut themselves on this and also rip their gloves to shreds because they get this caught on them. So one thing to know is that you have a arrow. Your arrow always points down to the tip of the reamer or drill bit, as I like to say. You're just going to gently slide that up, just so that way that connects on the sizes here. And then you're going to lay this over top. Don't set this just yet. Lay it on there, chuck this. And the reason why is because once we get our measurement, you guys are going to have to adjust this as we see fit. So that's your triple reamer. Going along with that, in the system here, this is your insertion handle. It comes apart and it comes into the tray like so. You guys are just going to take it out and slide it together like this. Please make sure you don't just go ahead and start screwing this in. The reason why is if you screw that in, it blocks our plate. So please just keep this separate and loose just like that until I give you the items to load onto this thing here. With this, everything you do through the plate is through this insertion handle. So you're going to have a sleeve to lock the plate. And you have a drill bit that you're going to use for your locking screw that's calibrated. And then you also have this for what's called your anti-rotation screw that you set. So these click into place here. So this is kind of like a 2-in-1 drill bit. So you're going to leave this out and use this for both parts. That may sound confusing, but the doc knows what it's about, and he'll kind of help you through that if you have any questions. This comes separate in the tray, just so you know. So you do have to grab the stopper. Doesn't matter, both sides have arrows. Just push and set it there. Going along with that, for both screws to insert it, you have this handle here. Our torque limiter does not go on a drill. Synthes did not make it that way. So you're going to grab all these pieces out from the tray. They're going to look like so. You're just going to connect them like we do normally. And you're going to grab this handle out and place it on there. And this is going to be your hand. And then if you would like, they can use power. And that's all that's to our femoral neck system. Thank you. Okay, so for any situation where there may be a chance you guys do a hip nail and I am not present, this is called my TFNA cabinet. This is the place that you guys will come to grab my nails, my screws, the head elements such as like a TFNA screw or a helical blade is all here in this cabinet. So the first thing we'll get started to pull out here is our rods. So anytime you guys do a long nail like I mentioned earlier and we need reamers, you guys must always grab a reaming rod and have these open on your field. Specifically for long nails and anytime we need to use a reamer. So even say we do a short nail but we need to ream, we must open up a reaming rod to go with it. The reason why is 3 things. So one, for long nails specifically, we need the depth of our nail. We need to know how long it is. We also need to help create a path for our reamers. And then the third reason is, let's say our reamers come in 2 pieces. Say the reamer comes apart in patient's canal, so that you have the reamer head and the reamer shaft disconnected. This helps fish it out. So that way nothing is lost, hopefully, in any patient canal. So again, that's why this piece is super critical anytime you ream. Moving forward from that, So talking about long nails, my long nails are left and right specific. So you see L for left, R for right. They come in 10, 11, 12 diameters across the board, regardless of if it's a long nail or short nail. We only have 10, 11, 12 diameter, but we have all of our sizes here. So say they measure and they call out a 360 or 380 and you're like, what is that? It's just the length. And it tells you very on the top here. So say a doc is gonna do a 10 left nail, but he needs a 380 length. You have it right there. So these are our long nails. Moving on to our short nails. I keep short nails here in this bin. So these are kept here in this bin right there, along with my screws and my helical blades and helical screws. If you guys ever grab this and I am missing a size in here, generally I keep extras down below, but again, that's something that I'll communicate with you if ever needed. Say I'm out of a short nail in this tote here. It's very simple. You'll just come over here. This is generally where I keep my short nail extras. But something I want to highlight is we have what's called an intermediate nail, which means in between. It's in between a short nail and a long nail. The difference is our short nails are universal. You can use it as a left or a right. It's not side specific. However, our intermediate nails are side specific, and those intermediate nails are kept close to our short nails. So as you'll see here, this side is an intermediate and this side is an intermediate, and down below these are shorts. So, and you can see the difference. Like here you see this says right, but you'll see a 12 by 170 has no laterality on it. So again, just something to know in case if I'm ever out and you guys come to grab, like, let's say a 12, you make sure you grab a 12 short, not a 12 intermediate, unless the doctor specifically says so. And that's a different conversation. But that's generally my TFNA card. And again, if you guys have any questions, I'm always available. Give me a call. And that's it.